Welcome back to Real Push Podcast. I'm your host, Bernard Shamow, with our co-host, Dominic Shaba. And do we have a treat for you today? We're with a Detroit sports icon. He's a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. He's the host of the Big D every day on Woodward Sports. He's a pro wrestler. He's a Comic-Con regular. He's an entrepreneur. He's an author with an autobiography. He's a husband, a father. He is Detroit's favorite stepchild. He always and forever will be number 25 in our hearts. Darren McCarty.
Hey, thank you, Bernard. Nice to see you, Dom. Thanks for having me today,
Thanks
guys.
for being on,
Honored
man.
to be here.
Thanks for being on the show, man. We are so pumped to have you. So many things we can talk about. You know, I know you got we got the hockey career, we got the charities that you're involved in. What's new with you? What's going on? Tell us about what's new with Darren McCarty.
So, you know, the biggest and most exciting thing, and you mentioned Big D Energy that I do with my my cohort Neil Roll, 11-1 on Big D Energy. That's something that's important, especially where the sports scene has gotten in the last 4 years. So being around for 4 years and growing as the city has popping with the teams that it be able to get behind, you know, mostly the Lions and stuff like this. So it's been great to sort of give that perspective from the locker room or the athlete side or what I see. And you know, it's one of those things that to me, Woodward Sports is never about the sports. It's always about the people. So, you know, I'm always excited. I always love doing the remotes and being out there with the people. You know, we got a big opening day at the Detroit Opera House coming up for, you know, April 4th, that we're always a big part of. And so, you know, with that, doing that, it's golf season. So anytime that the golf clubs come out, that's a priority. That's always been a priority for me, not just because I love the game, but it's part of my sobriety and being, you know, nature and stuff like that. And, you know, everybody who does or doesn't know, the Darren McCarty Brand, powered by Legacy Cannabis, is all throughout this state. So, you know, I'm a celebrity, I have a brand, but the difference is I am the brand. So if it's out there, I'm showing up. So I travel this great state and enjoy doing it. I get the comedy, you know, like you mentioned along the way, there's always doing charity stuff, no matter what it is, you know. So exciting part because we get to go outside and mostly a lot of golf tournaments this time of year. So I, you know, keeping busy along with that. You mentioned I got 2 grandchildren.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which, you know, a year and a half, Ryder and Josie Lynn's about 6 months. So new stage in life with that. My wife's also down in Clearwater Beach, Florida, running a couple hospitals. She's got her nurse practitioner's license and stuff. So try to get down there at least, you know, for a few days a month to see her. So life is great.
I love it.
Life is great. And when I'm busy and everybody sees me, and don't forget, you know, doing all the Bernstein stuff and the chopper shops.
Great commercial.
So we ain't stopping. We got a lot of things, new things planned.
That's awesome.
You know, but it's all about the people and being out and about. So I guess I would say, Bernard, I'm busy.
Yeah, to say the least, a man of many hats. A lot to unpack there, Darren. That was just a phenomenal breakdown. April 4th at the Opera House for Woodward Sports. You guys are doing opening day there, right?
Yeah, we're doing opening broadcasts all day long. It's actually the heavyweights, Easy and Spencer Raxter. Spencer Spencer Raxter. We've officially, because he is the star of opening day, we've made it Spencer Raxter Day, and he doesn't have to work that day. So he will be an absolute legend in the city. I love opening day because you get the reactions and the people downtown. And,
that's great.
And I think that, you know, with Woodward, because as we've grown, and you'll see it in how, you know, we know what to expect now. And I think it's more so like when you're talking about that, it's just, it's more of the stuff behind the scenes. And my job's easy. You know, I've never met a mic I didn't like.
You're
Stick a mic in
mic.
front of me and we're all good. But I think it's the intricacies of how it comes off and it shows by our viewership and it shows by, you know, adding people every day. And it's just like, but it shows the excitement. So now what I love is to be down with the people and being able to hear it and see it. We know opening day is just like another holiday for us.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, man of the people. You also mentioned in your intro, Darren, you mentioned golf. We'll talk about golf. You mentioned sobriety. Very, very super important topic for you. We'll touch into that. I know there's the hockey piece. I want to jump into something that I know is important for you. You recently relaunched the Darren McCarty brand powered by Legacy Cannabis as well. You're making a splash in the cannabis market. We're seeing you pop up more and more. Why is this important to you? Why are you so excited about it, Darren?
Yeah, I think that's a great segue because they tie into each other. My sobriety and my commitment to the plant, to the cannabis plant. Because if you see on my tattoo right there, 11/11/11/11/15 is my sobriety date. So
okay, nice.
Everybody who's followed my journey is known of the ups and downs and of, you know, I first time I quit drinking was in the summer of '96. I didn't touch another drink till '06. You know, 3 cups, everything going, but just goes to show you how fragile your sobriety could be. But it wasn't until I was at the end of my ropes. I mean, I was literally, for me, it was a life or death situation because I'm about 220 pounds, you know, right now and stuff like this. I was 280 pounds, maybe plus. My organs were going to explode from the inside because of my alcohol abuse.
Okay.
And without the plant, without the Rick Simpson oil, which is the cannabis plant in the concentrated form, used medicine. It's used to kill cancer.
Used it for my dad when he had cancer.
So I was doing 10 to 15 grams a day for 7 days. Now I have mentioned I'm married to a nurse, so she wouldn't most people have to go to detox because with alcohol, physically it'll kill you. Right. So,
the detox was.
Darren, I gotta jump in because it actually, you said you have one of my most favorite quotes that I recently heard. Is just an amazing quote, and it ties into what you're saying. And I know you attribute your sobriety to RSO oil, the Rick Simpson oil. You did 7.5 days of detox in your garage. And I recently heard you say, this plant saved my life. You said, it's not a segue drug. It's an exit strategy.
It's not.
That was so powerful.
It's not a gateway drug. It's an exit strategy
to get out of
the
heavy.
When I heard you say that, I just
no. It's an exit strategy, and it's something. And now, like, here's the thing with it, right? And I'll get back to not being, you know, the warrior in front of it because, like, we're recording this on March 27th. March 26th yesterday was the 28 years anniversary of Turtle Day. So you saw what I would do to protect somebody I love or my teammate. Imagine if it's something that saved my life.
Oh, yeah.
So now I'm indebted to this plant, and I'm indebted to the education of this plant to, I always say, get educated, get medicated, because if you need it, allow your body to work for yourself. With the light bulb moment is like when somebody said, oh yeah, all mammals and things with a spine have endocannabinoid system, and this plant specifically for it. Holy cow, do I have to be a rocket scientist to not figure out that A plus B equals C? Now it's up to me now we all have one, but it's all different. So mine might not react like yours, and you gotta figure it out, but it's a journey. But I was done from, like I said, you can't go by me and you can't go by anybody else because my system was nuked, right? Nuked to reset it, right?
Yeah.
So after 7.5 days of shitting, puking, passed out, whatever like this, I had already been for about a year and a half spiritually and mentally ready to quit. I mean, I used to cry myself to sleep as I'm chugging booze just to pass out.
Yeah, so you knew where you were at.
I knew, and I was going to die. My organs were going to explode. It was like I was on the, like, they're talking about the asteroids hitting and we're down to 37 seconds or whatever. You know what I mean? In the time frame, I was at 10:59:59. But the only thing that I said, right? The only thing that I said this to my wife, and I said, if I get the fuck up, get the fuck out of my way. If I get up, get out of my way, because then I'm on a mission. And the fact is, when I remember, it was like 2 p.m. We started the procedure on a Sunday, and it was Monday, 2 p.m, where I sort of came back to life. And I got on my knees, and I fucking cried because I was so grateful. Then I got mad. Then I got mad for all the disrespect and the abuse, and I get it because of the lack of education. I can tell you why it happened, but it's not happening now. And thank God for the people of the state, because it's and that's why I have the connection with them or whatever, because they're the reason I'm alive, because they understood that it was more about compassion. And it was more about if somebody, if somebody needs it and it's not hurting them when you have the education, then like, why don't we move towards? You mentioned your father, and you mentioned, the numerous amount of things that we know that this plan can do for all of us. Now it's about education. So that's where I stand. And I'm sitting here almost 10 years from that date, but every day. So with the Darren McCarty brand, it's for me to not only have a voice of what this plant did, but to be in the game, and gives me a bigger voice. Now, what's important to me is that I know that I'm up against different things. And if I look back to it, it's sort of like my cannabis journey is sort of like my life journey.
Yeah.
Ups and downs. And I'd been out, I originally brought the Darren McCarty brand into the market back in 2018 with a company called Pinkana.
Yep.
But unfortunately, there's lessons to be learned. And even though the medicine, the roll on, the gummies, the flat was adequate, to my liking, the relationship and that wasn't. Right. So when the contract came up in February of 2022, I said, I'm not renewing it. No.
And you relaunched recently.
So I waited 2.5 years.
Yeah.
To get the right partner.
Yeah.
Had 27 interviews, and then I met Steve Cato, the owner of Legacy Cannabis, and immediately the synergies of the compassion,
it just clicked,
of the plant clicked. My vision of what it is, the long game of his vision of what it is, and how we can really affect stuff. And if you don't know anything about Legacy Cannabis, just understand that he didn't have to create the company Legacy Cannabis. He didn't have to take on the Darren McCarty brand or any brand or create Unrivaled or whatever. He could have made millions of dollars in this industry by continuing to white label and supply all the big dispensaries with some of the best flower in the state. But because of what happened at the Legacy Reptilium right down the road here at Van Dyke and 59, where Brian, the owner, who had been building it, had pancreatic cancer, and the bank took away the rebuild and stuff. So Steve stepped in, created Legacy Cannabis. 10% of everything that we earn goes towards the Reptilium in Brian's honor, and it'll be finished, and the grand opening will probably be in the beginning of May this year. So it's Legacy means, and I know it's spelled Legasea, but to me, what Steve Cato, what Legacy Cannabis, the relationship with the Darren McCarty brand, what he is going to afford me to do is what my life goal is. My life goal is my legacy. And what I want my legacy to be is what I've done for veterans, what I've done for people in the philanthropy, what I've done for people in the cannabis business. Oh yeah, and he won 4 cups and he beat up a guy one time. Yeah. That's my goal, and this is how I get there. So and there's a lot of things in the works. Because of this and opportunities, and not only just the opportunity to sit down with you guys and the synergies. So as everything opens up, it's all about me. I'm just looking for win-wins and in my world. I have one of the biggest statements that I have is I know I have a phone, I have a TV. I know what they tell me my world's like. Yeah. I refuse.
It motivates you, doesn't it?
This is my world.
It motivates you
right
like
here,
no other.
That man right here, who we both, and I'm pointing at Joey Namu, who we both say, absolutely, we love this guy.
Yeah.
And because that's the type of person that when long story short about doing this podcast, Joey calls me, says, hey, I got a couple friends, and starts to spiel into me. And I just said, yeah, when do you want to do it? And he's like, well, I'm trying to explain. I said, Joey, you asked me to do it. It's you, bro. I don't give a, you will always put me in a beneficial position to succeed or need to in front of people. So it's the easiest. And that are the relationships that I want and all. And so if I believe, right, that can be, then I'm going to work towards that.
Yeah. Darren, I gotta unpack a little bit of what you just said. I know Dominic has a lot to say.
Yeah.
Most importantly, your entire demeanor and your entire facial expression changed. It was very emotional to watch. I loved it because I think you take that pride. You're somebody that feeds. You said it, and you couldn't have said it any better. Get up or get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
And I think this is the tip of the iceberg. You're just getting started. We talked a little bit offline about some of the entrepreneurial endeavors you're in, which we cannot wait to see flourish. You talked about your legacy briefly from a hockey player, but that'll be secondary to what you're looking to accomplish in the back half of your life. You do a lot of philanthropy work. You do a lot of charities. You talked about the golf charity. We'll jump into that. I know you got the 7th annual Darren McCarty charity golf outing that benefits Operation Valhalla, right? Am I saying it right?
That's our, Operation Valhalla.
And that's giving money to veterans and their families, right? You want to talk about that? By the way, do we have a venue picked out for the 7th annoval?
It's always at Links of Novi.
Oh, nice.
Because it's at Links of Novi because it's got 27 holes. I don't golf. It's the only golf tournament I don't golf in my own Grind Time family golf outing, and it's for it's my favorite day of the year because I get to go there and to see the people and everybody and get to do it the way that I would do. Yes, and it's the people that have been here and that I don't get to see. Like a lot of them, I don't get to see other than online or support. But I've put a day on the calendar, April 15th, Links of Novi. Novi, Operation Valhalla, and this is important. Right. And I am willing to do anything for anybody to help raise money. But what I saw the miss was I'm a big person that if I want to raise, you need help. Right. And in this case, it's for the veterans because my right hand man, Nick Antonucci, is a veteran. And he's in our relationship, he's introduced me to the mil-spec and helped me organize my life. And without him, we're a partnership. So it's important to him. And it's important to me that money goes straight to veterans. So if for example, a couple of years ago, there was a veteran that got electrocuted, worked for DTE on the wire, had 2 young kids. Ooh. Money that we raised from the golf tournament, whatever, went straight to that family. It's going straight. The money here goes straight to here. And it was everywhere. So it allows me to do everything else for everybody, but know that and I think there was a Fox 2 piece, and it's not about getting the media pieces, but it's letting the veterans know we helped because the guy, a veteran who was handicapped, needed a new porch and flooding in his basement. So we gave him $15,000 and boom, it was stuff that really
feel good.
Stuff that matters.
Yeah.
Like that you can see you guys in building when you see what you do. And when you're doing it and you see that benefit. Yes.
It's impactful.
It is.
Impactful.
To stay on the topic of cannabis, but I'm going to loop in the NHL. Yeah. Do you think they should revisit that idea of
I think it's coming. I think it's coming at least, with the CBD and stuff like that. And because, I went through the opioid part of and through the addiction. Horrible, and I think education. So if I was going to guess, I'd say probably within a few years. And that's important for me with the brand and the topicals and all the CBD stuff and all the sleep stuff. And, CBN is a huge part. I'm an insomniac, not just an alcoholic. So the fact that when I was introduced to CBN in the plant, I always say, find your secret, right? What's your secret? Because there is that secret in the plant and you might have to try around. It might be an edible. And it might be this or it might be that, but the CBN, which is a sedative part of the plant, which makes you go to sleep, so that I can, no matter what nowadays. And it's funny because my intake is I used to crush edibles all day long. I used to be on 1,000 milligrams between CBD and THC, right? Probably, split between each. Dude, I might take them at night if I want to go to sleep quicker, but your body will train itself to be used. That's what it makes sense because of your endocannabinoid system. Yeah. So for guys to, we all know. I'd rather you than have to take pills that you're gonna have to take more pills or drink something that you don't want to drink because it gives you smoke a joint, go to bed, wake up, feel great, let's go. I don't get it. I'm coming from such a psychopath. Alcoholic that I had bad hangovers too. Oh. So that's why I was a binge drinker because I'd never get sober.
Never stopped. Keep going.
I never get sober.
The John Daly move.
No, we're buddy. We've
Daly's
found back in the day.
John Daly's Dom, you mentioned the NHL. Let's shift gears to hockey. Darren, I think if Joe Louis was still around, we'd find Yanni Niemann's jockstrap on the ice. Not too many people in their life can say they have a Stanley Cup clinching goal. And I think I lived it. I watched it. It was unbelievable. I got to revisit it when I watched your E60 special.
Yeah.
Just take us there,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Please, can you take us there?
Not only that,
Can you take us there?
I got the best story for
All right,
you.
go ahead.
go.
Not only that, but I beat one guy.
One guy.
One-on-one my whole career. So it's all timing. It's
Yeah.
all timing.
It's all
right?
timing.
But this is a great story because I always believe that you have to ask yourself, what have you put in to deserve what you get out?
Right.
So there's nothing that I haven't received that has been given to me that I haven't worked for.
Yeah.
You got to put the work in.
Yeah.
So for me, and people don't realize this, but after we lost to Jersey in 95 in the finals, lost to Colorado in game 6 in 96, both those summers, I went to Sweden for a month.
Wow.
To work hockey schools with 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds.
Those are animals over there.
And before you say, hey, way to go help, you're a pro athlete helping kids in Sweden. No, up your nose with a rubber hose. I was in the school with the 8, 9, 10, and 11-year-olds as a 22, 23-year-old professional athlete getting my arse dangled and stuff. But the one thing is why I bring this up, because Thomas Storm was our teacher. And the first thing we do before every skate is get a puck and skate around, pulling it in, pushing it out, pulling it in, pushing it out. That exact same move, I'd done it 10,000 times. So fast forward, second period, right? Responsible.
Game 4,
Game
97
4,
versus
up
Philly.
3-0, up 1-0.
Up 1-0. Up 3-0 in the series, up 1-0 in the
1-0
game.
in the game.
Number 44 is back, and Yanni Niederman.
Well, I come through the middle, grind liner.
Yeah.
Responsible
Yeah.
grind liner.
Yeah.
I know that Philly's changing. They're
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
Right?
Capitalize.
Sandstrom gives me the puck, right? I can hear the bench yell,
Dump it.
dump it in.
Yeah.
I am responsible. I'm planning to dump it in.
Yeah.
And when I go to dump it in, I sort of fiddle
Instinct
fat
took
it.
over.
And next thing you know, that move, pull it in, push
Pull
it
it
out,
back.
happens. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember sticking my knee. Now, I scored 55 in junior. I'm not like, I know how to get to the net.
Yeah.
I just haven't been in this spot in a long time. But I got my knee like out, and like when you're a hockey player, you know when you got the guy on the angle. So now I know I'm coming in deep and I got to cut hard to the net. And out of the corner of my eye, I just see this flash of orange. And I always thought, I go, was it like, because I love Halloween and, you know, like pumpkin pie and, was it that? No, I figured it out. When I was a kid growing up in Leamington, Ontario, which is for geography's sakes, if you give 10 minutes for the Canadian-US border, it's my house is 30 minutes on the other side of Canada.
Okay.
Right? So 40 minutes to Joe Louis Arena. So I sort of grew up there. But our team growing up was red and white. Our number one rival, Essex, was black and orange. So how many times had I seen that in my, right? So when I saw this flash of orange and I pulled it to the middle of the crease, I had no word of a lie. I was this far away.
Subconscious took over.
This far away from the net. And I had time to say, do you know why I scored? Because I said, please don't miss the net. And I knocked it in. Double pirouette in the corner. It gets even better. Double pirouette in the corner, and I come out, and who's the one I first lay eyes on? Same guy that I've been watching since I was 11 years old.
Steve
Yzerman.
Steve Yzerman.
Right? The same guy that I knew that
Stevie
I wanted
Y.
to be I wanted to be the little brother to the Bruise Brothers.
Yeah.
Keep the rats off.
You
Joe,
lived that,
I never wanted their job, but if they had some underling to keep let Joe Kosher and Bob Probert fight the big guys. I'll fight all the little guys that are like wrecking, ratting around stuff. I see Steve Yzerman, his eyes the size of dinner saucers, looking at me going, what the was that? Me never lost for words, looks at him and goes, blah. And for every Red Wing fan out here, when I say this, and this is why I trust the hashtag Wiser plan, no matter what, as the GM of this team, because he's always right. Because he looks at me straight in the eyes and he goes, thank God you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
And he was right.
He was right.
He was right. And thank God, Eric Lindros scores with like 17 seconds left.
It becomes the Stanley Cup clinching
So
goal.
not only that, I'll go even further. The question I get asked all the time: what's your favorite Joe Louis Arena moment? Now, I mean, yesterday's number 2.
Let me set the stage real quick.
Okay.
Yesterday, fight night at the Fight Night after Joe, also known as Happy Turtle Day. It was probably one of the most iconic fights in the history of hockey because of the exposure it got. You said, or we just talked about the goal. Does the Lemieux fight trump this? Getting Draper's
No,
back?
that,
I got a
Lemieux
poster
was
of that in my
second,
house.
and I don't know if it was louder in that building because I was dialed in here, so I'm sure my sensories were more focused into the noise, but I was on the ice.
Yeah.
For the last puck drop, Yzerman, Shanahan, Lidstrom, Konstantinov, Darren McCarty, the kid from Leamington, Ontario, was on the ice for when that buzzer went. I was furthest from our net, so when the buzzer went, the streamers came out of the ceiling, the guys come off the bench, the fans are going nuts from blue line to blue line. It was so loud, it was silent. It was eerily
Deafening,
silent,
yeah.
and then boom, it just hit like that's the loudest time. It was so loud that it was like.
From 92 to 09, that's number one moment in Darren McCarty's hockey career?
No. Now I revisit if we're asking
All
this
right.
question. We're asking this question. What has to happen in my career is what went on with Lemieux.
I was just going to ask.
So
next.
I didn't need the irony, and this is why it's the God shot game or the karma game, or if you don't believe in karma, this is what, because getting for Claude Lemieux, who hit Chris Draper, my centerman, in the last game of the finals from behind, broke his jaw in 4 spots, crushed his orbital. In life and sports, bad things happen, but you can't lose respect for a fellow human. And the reason why it came down to this is because he didn't apologize.
Yeah.
Didn't say
Yeah.
sorry. He actually stood on his work and said, screw Chris Draper. Probably just made him money. So that was 10 months earlier. So the fact not only we had to win the game, but the way that I had to get that exact revenge. So the one thing that has to happen is that has to happen. Somebody else, we had to win the game. Somebody else could have scored the overtime goal, even though I did. So I slayed the dragon and got the girl. Now that was the most important because history. It's
Love
the
it.
domino
they
effect.
still talk about
Love
the
it.
Lemieux fight. Or
Hell yeah.
I mean, that.
As we should, because every Detroiter should be proud because that was it wasn't about me. It was about us.
It
It
was.
was about what we all would do about right or wrong and how we stick up for each other. That's, that might be one of the first Detroit versus everyone moments.
Oh, for sure. That was
Darren, do you
birth.
feel like you guys cleared the air on the ESPN E60 special, or do you feel like it was something you needed to get out of the way? Or was that, did you
No,
have
I
some
thought-
hesitancy in doing that?
I thought ESPN, the Unrivaled or whatever.
Yeah,
Because
that's
how
what it was.
many times what you don't get in history is both sides telling your story. I'll tell you, I came away from there with more respect for Patrick Wall than I ever had because that's the first time I heard him talk like a
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
And even more so, like I think the warrior mentality of the like sort of hatred of whatever was so real. Like that's the one thing about the Russian 5 documentary about Unrivaled. They got it. Because
Yeah.
they got the vibe and they got the hatred. And you got the fact that some guys hang on to it more than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forsberg and Waugh,
Yeah.
they still like Lemieux and Lemieux gets it. Like why, like what everything happened. He might man of faith. And if you've seen that I did for the 25-year anniversary, we had a sit down. But the one thing we watched the game, and when you hear that, he doesn't remember playing the second and third period. You like
wonder why.
he was concussed. I believe him.
Yeah.
Right. And you see like coming out of that.
well, that was courtesy of you. Has he apologized?
Well, here's the thing. That's up to like Drapes and him, whether it is, because you see at the end
Between
of it
them.
where Drapes
You had to
says,
handle your
Yeah.
business at
dude,
that point.
that's not
Yeah.
my burden to
Yeah,
carry,
true.
right?
Yeah.
So to
Yep.
me, what my burden to carry is, listen, and this is what I hope everybody, this is when they see me, when I come up, and whether they agree or not, but they go, it's DMAC, and I got to see what the hell is he doing now? Like what is this all about? Because there's a reason for it. The reason to sit down with Lemieux is because I started to get there from doing charity side stuff with him to see that. Now, I'm not making your decision for you, but I'm putting him on the stand because he wants to get on the stand and state his case. And if I'm a man of redemption and second chances and doing it better, why can't even the person that I wanted to unearth the most in this world, why do I not have the compassion to give him that? And then you decide. Like, I'm not making the decision for you, but it also respectfully, I'm showing you how I got there. So as I say this, if you're on the ice with Claude Lemieux today and you turn your back, you're a freaking idiot. But off the ice, I'll turn my back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, you know, like that's where I'm at with that. And I think I'm comfortable with it. Like I have to call Claude my friend, and like if he's in town, he wants to go golfing, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude, you know he's Mo Sider's agent too, right?
No, I didn't.
That's the whole thing why that all came about.
Yeah.
You never heard that story?
No, but that makes sense.
Watching the draft. I'm watching the draft. So what is that? 19, 20, 21, whatever it is. And I see, and from Germany, Moritz Sider. And I'm like, never heard of the kid, but if Stevie's like, I just thought Germany was the new Sweden.
Yeah.
You know, he's picking up something.
Yeah. They're breeding hockey players.
So then I'm looking through the stats and like, okay. And then, you know, like I know Drapes had mentioned he's high on him and stuff. So, I mean, this kid's he's got to be good and whatever. And I looked down at who his agent was and Claude Lemieux, and I went, oh. I realized right then and there, right? Claude Lemieux became Japan.
A trader?
No, became Japan from friggin' Axis to Allied.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean like in World War II.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy. That's a great analogy.
Now the guy, right? So for me, and I'd started doing all like
bringing
shows with
people
him and knew that there was a different side, but I'm like, man, I got to get everybody on board because this guy's gonna have an integral part in helping us win another cup.
Yeah.
What,
That's how it comes around. So that's the whole why it started.
Yeah. Access
So
to Allied.
and just so that came about because of I got that wheel rolling, and I can't thank ESPN enough for picking it up and doing such a phenomenal job.
Dominic, you got a question, and you nailed it. The biggest storyline in that was he never apologized. That was just that was the whole storyline.
Dude, that was
the whole storyline. Yeah.
Like
modern day, I want your hot take on modern day enforcers.
Well, the game's different, right?
Yeah.
So not only like they got to be able to play because the guy don't sit on the bench, but I think that like you watch and so the effectiveness, right? So it's the guys like the Tom Wilsons, who's going to be 30-goal guy this year, playing with Ovechkin, played in Washington, local kid. Played at Plymouth, but like having that edge and sticking up. You know, one of the toughest guys in the league plays in Columbus, and Matthew Olivier. I love this kid because he understands his role, but he can play. Like he can skate.
He can skate.
You have to be able to skate. The old school tough guy couldn't skate.
Yeah.
Now even
the old school tough guy was a brawler.
Yeah.
Well, and he played 2 minutes a game, and those guys, you know, like you don't engage them, then what are they going to do? They're there for one thing. So that guy's gone. So now, like, there's still some great fights in the game, but it's, you know, it's the physicality and the accountability. The thing I love about hockey as still to this day is once the playoffs come, it sort of turns back. We saw 4 nations, which was unbelievable and off the rip.
Question.
And that was like as old school hockey.
I was obsessed.
But that made the game cleaner.
Yeah.
It was hard hitting, it was fast, but it not cheap and chippy. And that's what it does. So, you know, it is what it is, but that guy's had to evolve to be more of a player than he used to be.
Darren, you mentioned Ovechkin. Did you ever think we'd see Gretzky's record broken?
No, dude. And the thing is, here's the thing. He's unbelievable because he's having so much fun too.
He's having so much fun.
And he's having so much. So, and Ovi's one of these things is that if you tap that passion, right, you got him because he don't care. He's a kid at heart, man.
Yeah.
And all these kids, I watch all these videos because I love him. He's like one of my favorite.
He's always smiling.
Well,
players.
that passion reminds me of somebody.
Yeah, no, right. Like, but with all the teammates, I wish I could shoot it like him.
Somebody. Yeah.
I'd like to see him get it before the end of the season.
Yeah. I guess Gretzky's going to start traveling to the games in the next as he gets within 3 or 4.
And then there's such a Wayne Gretzky is the great one on and off the ice.
He is the great one.
He is such the like as much of a team like him and Chris Chelios. Like they're the godfathers because they like it's important and the game and just from knowing Wayne. And I've known him a long time because I played junior with his brother. So it's just it's great to see it. And the more around the game I see him like that, the more it makes me happy to the game I grew up with because I grew up with Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. Darren, a couple more questions. We value your time. We're going to get you out of here. I just wanted to give you a little bit more time on the Darren McCarty brand. You mentioned Unrivaled. Was it Unrivaled?
Yeah, Unrivaled.
Tell us
so
about and where can we get your products? Where can we get your products? Let's talk about that.
So if you're in Michigan, I'd start at Sky Mint in Jars. There's over 30 Jars locations in the state, 9 in the Metro Detroit area. Sky Mint's also there's a cool dozen. If you're in our area, right? So I live in Royal Oak. So every spot around me has to have the brand. So there's 11 in Ferndale, Quality Roots, Knox in Ferndale, the Liberties, the Puff, Utica, Puff, Madison Heights.
I got a feeling we're going to start seeing it a little bit more too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
so. And
what's Unrivaled?
And here's so first two, and this is to everybody out there. If you bring the brand, he will come.
True.
So like, and I got some great, and Greenhouse and Wild Lake, I got a great. We got a great giveaway going right now. Enter to win. Last game of the year is April 14th. So Jerry Millen, who's the owner and buddy of 30 years and a cohort. So we're going to take 2 lucky guests to the game that
Nice.
night and stuff like that. So all these things throughout. I know there's SkyMint's doing jersey giveaways and stuff. It's all about being with the community.
Yeah.
And what's important too is I need feedback.
Of course.
I know what I like and stuff like this. Like but I also know you got to remember I'm in a dispensary at least 5 days a week.
Feedback's a gift, man.
It is of what you like, what you don't. I'll tell you, I would lead you right to in my brand right now, Sherb Cream Pie, Gorilla Glue number 4, because there's none in the area. It's
Back
if
up.
you can find it. I'm producing that because I'm in
Gorilla Glue
Michigan.
4. Dominic's got a smile on his face. Dominic's got a smile on his face.
Frost Hammer. The Frost Hammer is the best indica at nighty night in my brand right now. So you can find those all there. Unrivaled is our concentrate company.
Got it.
That was just launched. So we're going to be coming out with infused. I'm going to do a
Coming
big
soon.
Is
donut.
that powered by Legacy also?
Powered by Legacy.
Nice.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
the family.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
You also
So-
do some cancer research stuff too on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like so.
Was that for your father?
What's that?
Was that
That was for your for your dad. Yeah.
The multiple myeloma. So I used to have the McCarty Cancer Foundation. My dad, who's been passed away since '99, so we had it between '96 and '06. We were helped to co-fund between $5.5 $6 million for multiple myeloma research. Why is that important? Because the goal of the McCarty Cancer Foundation was we couldn't save my dad, but one day we would save somebody's. That to this day, and it came probably about 3 or 4 years ago, that anybody diagnosed could live out with the medications, and they found enough that it's not a life sentence. So we, because of as it was getting bigger, my mom was getting older and stuff like this, and I'd gone to Calgary. We decided that we were doing third-party event stuff for a time, but we ended up tucking that away. Because mission was sort of accomplished and stuff. So now if people want to get behind Operation Valhalla is where that is.
That's the segue to it.
I think that to your point, down the road, as I get deeper and bigger and the stuff that I want, that is something that you will see
Hope so.
come. And so as I've explained here, RSO is... That's the miracle, but it's also too like it's like playing with dynamite because the best part is it shuts your whole system down, but it's dosing.
He says it's like
And
playing
it's
dynamite.
I spent a lot when I got it.
Well, and that's the whole thing. So how do we make it affordable? How do we and all these questions of to make it more of the norm. Right, that's all it is, and it's education. And at the end of the day, why this plant has taught me the greatest gift.
Yeah.
One of the greatest gifts: patience and resilience.
Is it?
And doing it the right way.
Is it similar to Charlotte's Web?
That is Charlotte's Web.
So they're the same.
Charlotte's Web is a CBD derivative, but the guy who created Charlotte's Web
Is-
the
okay,
RSO and
correct.
stuff. So the Charlotte's Web isn't as much as straw, but right in
Yeah,
the
I gave him
similarities
both.
of why it was created.
Yeah.
Darren, before we let you go, where can our followers follow you in terms of the cannabis community and the golf community and anything else you might want to share?
Absolutely. First off, always check out Legacy Farms, Legacy_Farms to get the latest and greatest because I retweet a lot of their stuff. So, but my stuff, all blue check marks, Darren McCarty 4 on Twitter, Real Darren McCarty on Instagram, Official Darren McCarty on Facebook. So
Let's go.
that, and obviously Woodward Sports. You got to check out Woodward Sports, Big D Energy, stuff like that. We're always got things flowing through there. So
Beautiful.
That's the spot.
yeah,
Beautiful,
absolutely.
beautiful. Darren, I get a lot of memories, man, sitting here talking to you. We're
Love it.
similar in age. We had so much history.
Well, we got. It's funny because we were talking before the show, and you mentioned you've been in the room, and I said, who are you hanging with? And you mentioned our buddy. I'm going to give a shout out to Matt Goomba.
Yeah.
What up, Gooms?
We'll make sure he gets that. Hey, man, this
It's some
past
self-service, bro.
he's the best. He's the best. This past November 11th, you celebrated 9 years of sobriety. God bless you. Congratulations on that.
Congrats, man.
The Darren McCarty Brand with Legacy, powered by Legacy Cannabis as well. He's got the 7th annual Darren McCarty charity golf event coming up at the Links of Novi. We are going to post all of your links and tags on this podcast and blast that out as well. We are so grateful for your time. He is a Detroit icon. Number 25, I started the podcast Always and Forever. Darren McCarty, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Just want to send a big shout out to our podcast sponsors for today, Palazzolo Building Company. Thank you for this lovely home to host the podcast. Perfectly Plated. Thank you for the charcuterie boards. I know we laugh because I don't say that right. And JM Visuals, as always, thank you for your audio and visual expertise.